happening, folks? Y'all already know what it is. This is Twice Talk, and we are listener supported by 91.5 The Rebel, HD2, Las Vegas, the broadcast service of UNLV. And of course, I'm always accompanied by the sensational Oak. How you doing today?
She right on in.
Right on in.
I like the extra emphasis on that V you had.
Oh, yeah? You know, you got to sometimes end it like you start. You know what I'm saying, girl?
Okay.
But I did want to let you know that I did notice your jacket here, and it was real nice and festive. And speaking of being festive, we got the man of the hour, Mr. Jared Clark. This guy is sensational himself. You know we had to say it 2 times. How you doing today?
I'm doing good.
Oh, okay. And Mr. Jared, he is he just started a law firm called Clark Law Firm?
Clark Law Group.
Oh, Clark Law Group. Okay. And how is that going?
It's going good. It's we're about 4.5 months in. I recently left a pretty big firm in town. Had a total of 8 attorneys over there. I've been with them off and on the last decade or so in different capacities, and I just felt like it was time to spread my wings and do my own thing.
Well, you already know you fly, brother. You already know you
came
fly,
in extra clean. He wasn't playing.
It's cold outside.
Oh,
okay.
But it's hot in here now.
It's cold outside.
The guy's in here. So, what kind of law do you usually deal with?
Personal injury.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, personal injury. So,
why'd you choose that one? Why'd you choose personal injury?
So that's kind of just what I grew up in, and I took a liking to it. I pride myself in the law firm. We offer a niche practice, a concierge type service, exclusively personal injury. I was always kind of wary to do 2, 3, or 4 different practice areas at once, just because law can be complicated, and next thing you know, you're doing family law, personal injury, crim. That's a lot. Not to say that people can't do it, and people do it, and they do it effectively as well. But you know, I worked at a big firm in town, personal injury, and I took a liking to it. So if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right?
If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Yeah. So you enjoy seeing people grow and enjoy seeing people become better.
Or he enjoys winning lawsuits.
Winning lawsuits. Yes. Correction. Thanks for the correction.
Yeah, I mean, that aspect is enjoyable, but it's what I enjoy about what we do is helping people truly in need. They're coming in, they're injured. Sometimes they might have a leg that's been amputated. They may have a 2-level cervical fusion, neck fusion. I mean, I'm talking about real life serious injuries, and they're out of work. They might have kids relying on them. You know, so to try to get them compensation through the civil justice system is pretty cool.
Oh, that's dope. Because when I think of personal injury, I'm like, okay, car accidents. I immediately think of that.
Yeah, and that's the bulk of what we do because they happen at such a high frequency, or automobile accidents. But I mean, personal injury goes a lot more broader than that. You have premises liability, which is just a more fancy word for slip and falls and trip and falls.
Okay,
that's where somebody is injured on the premise of a casino or Walmart, wherever, somebody else's property. Negligent security cases, if someone's injured or beat up on a hotel and they didn't have adequate security. So there's a lot of
of things,
subtle parts,
that
kind of falls under the big personal injury.
So when you were in school, were you studying injury law, or when you approached law school, what did you think you were gonna practice?
Personal injury, I knew, and that's just because I was working at that firm for the last 10 years. So I had an in on it. I enjoyed what I was doing. I was hoping to come back and work for them, which I did, which was awesome. There's some good guys over there. But yeah, so I grew up in a law practice, so I knew that's what I wanted to do.
I do recall you saying that you were going to be a patent attorney a few years back.
Your memory's impressive.
Impressive.
Crazy.
I never knew I was going to use that.
And it's not like we talk all the time. I keep communication, but I know that's probably like 6 years ago that we had that conversation.
Yeah.
What made you jump out of that field?
So it's complicated. I don't know how much time we have. I don't want to.
It's a long story.
Everything.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, my undergraduate degree is in biology. That's what I really liked before I got into law. That's what I was studying before I decided to do law. But it was either med school or go to pharmacy school.
Ooh, hey doctor.
At the time, pharmacists they were in need. There was a high demand for it. They were giving great bonuses if you got out. They were doing a lot of good things for pharmacists. I hear now, I haven't read up on it, but someone told me the other day that apparently there's an overabundance of pharmacists. So
now,
and that was it just in 2000. I graduated in 2010 from Mojave. So that's 2010, 2011 where that need was there. So I don't know where it's at now. But 2 years into my undergraduate, I decided to do law. But it still led me to a biology degree. So I did my 4 years, got the biology degree, and then went off to law school out in San Diego.
Wow.
Wow.
So you said you passed the bar in 2015. I'm trying to take the bar, but not for a few more years. What is like one question that like stood out the most, or something that most people wouldn't know about, taking the bar?
What do you mean by that?
What do you mean it's too complicated?
Fully loaded, yeah.
It is?
No, yeah. I mean,
is there one question that you remember from taking the bar that stood out, I guess?
They had, so in school, I absolutely hated studying real property. It's just, it wasn't for me.
You hated studying real property?
Real property.
Okay,
It was a subject in law that, that you're required to take. And they actually had an essay. So the way that most states, it varies from state to state, because law is administered from state to state, but you would generally have maybe 6 essays, and you will have an hour, and the essay would be either on contracts law, real property, evidence, criminal procedure, whatever it may be.
Wow.
And you have an hour, to
write 6
dissect this
essays.
essay. You got to analyze it. Yeah, dissect this essay and point out the legal issues and do an analysis for each legal issue that's presented to you. So they had real property on there, and I think I might have bombed it, but I aced everything else apparently. So.
You have an hour to examine 6 essays, is what you just told me?
No, so 1 hour per essay.
Oh, I was about to say, boy, you gotta be.
It's a 3-day exam. In many places, 3-day exam.
Okay.
About 8 hours a piece, and you got breaks and stuff. But
so if there was somebody that was interested in becoming a lawyer, and just on the general field, not knowing what kind of specifics they would like to get into, what kind of things would you have for them to say for them, to recruit them, or to push them towards becoming a lawyer, or to continue schooling and things like that?
If there's something that I could do differently, I didn't know until my second year into it that I really wanted to do law, but I didn't want to start over, so I kept with my science courses. But I probably would have majored in something different in undergrad. Dealing either, writing or reading comprehension, because that's what we deal most with in the real world. So just to kind of give them a head start if they start, training their mind. And
so you wouldn't do English. I mean, you wouldn't do criminal justice or politics. You would do something more like English or professional writing.
And those are the 2 common ones: criminal justice
and political science.
Okay. But you could, the beautiful thing about law school is you could go to law school with any degree. You just need a 4-year degree. So,
oh, for real?
Wow.
It could technically be in German studies or rock and roll.
Or visual media.
Rock and roll. Visual media. Is that a major? I might need to find
I don't know. I think
it probably is.
There's a major for everything.
I believe it. Yeah. They just made a major for like video games.
Really?
Yeah. You could play
booming.
video games, and that's like your class.
Like if used right, that could probably be a profitable industry.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Oh, yeah, it is. So, would you happen to have a favorite success story of one of your clients?
A favorite success story?
Yeah, like they ended up, they came to you, was in need, you helped them out, and maybe that they got over some type of trial, they beat the odds,
or maybe there's a client that you kind of hold close to you or near and dear.
Yeah, it probably was a without disclosing confidentiality, but it was a young lady. She was from India. She had just finished medical school out in Poland, and she probably was back for a year and a half. She was pregnant at the time of the incident. It was a pretty bad collision. I think she was around 25 or 26 years old, so a pretty relatively young girl in the grand scheme of things, and got banged up pretty bad, and she was a candidate for a cervical fusion, a neck procedure at 2 different discs, which is a pretty invasive procedure. And it kind of derailed her. She was studying for her boards at the time for medicine. So she had to put that. Thank God there was no complications with the child. She was pregnant at the time. But just, everything that she's been through a lot in life too, without going into details. But I don't know, that one felt a little bit more extra rewarding. Just kind of knowing her story, and to see how her life was interrupted. But it is back on track. And I told her as soon as she passes her board, she has to reach out to me to let me know. So,
that's what's up.
So
I like that.
What would be like one thing that you've learned from your client's story?
From that particular story, just in general?
I would like to ask, what you learn from your craft, but we can go, what have you learned from your craft into like personal relationships? But as far as being, man, my words are going crazy.
Or maybe there's
Yeah.
something that you just acquired through being a lawyer in injury law that you didn't acquire anywhere else through the exercise.
I think and it helps for personal reasons as well as professional, but just remaining in tune with that personal interaction. On the plaintiff side, so we represent the victims of people who were injured, fault free. Um, on the opposite side is defense, so they work for insurance companies and stuff, but there's not a whole lot of human interaction. You're working for like Geico or, big corporations, so you're talking to adjusters, but we're learning real stories, real people, real problems that they're going through. So it kind of keeps us grounded and in tune with that, the importance of that one-on-one interaction.
That's dope.
It's easy to lose, forget what some people go through. We deal with the public, so it's a lot. It's a lot. And you just get to observe that and be a participant in it.
Okay. So what made you want to spread your wings and create Clark Law Group, opposed to staying with the heavy hitters, or you said the big guys that you were working for? What makes you want to start your own?
Can we not reference Glenn Lerner?
Oh, I said the heavy hitters. Look at him. I'm trying to tell you to get with the program with the jingle.
Everybody needs a jingle, right? No, I'm just kidding. I felt like, so it's 2017, soon to be 2018. And I felt like I was in a position, like I said, I worked for this firm for a decade. Great. To this day, they're my mentors. If I need something, got questions, I still reach out to them. They're more like family, building a bond over that course of time. I just felt like it was time. But what pushed me was I wanted to build something for my family and something that's hopefully going to be around a lot longer when I'm gone.
Excellent. Excellent.
So I always had more of an entrepreneur spirit. And at some point, I think that's always the end goal for many people. But for me in particular, it definitely was.
So they say that family businesses don't really reap the benefits until the third generation. So who would you, have you heard that before?
No, I'm just saying wow, because I'm trying to figure out what they meant by benefits. But
well, they get to get all the inheritance. They don't have to do as much work, or they don't have to do everything. The foundation is already grounded. You already have a kind of direction, a sense of direction where you want to go. But what kind of words would you have for that your third generation offspring, and they're still within the law firm?
Well, hopefully there's been something that's been passed down, but they might not want to do law.
I don't want to do law.
A non-attorney can't own a law firm, so at that point, it's
done.
Desist,
So let's just say everything happened the way it's supposed to happen, and they
let's get back to it, okay?
And they wanted to follow in your footsteps. What kind of advice would you have for them as they're coming into their own with their own group and having to make their own decisions?
I would build it like it's brand new. Build it like it's yours and you're starting it.
I like that.
Not something that's been around for a while,
Build it like it's brand new. What? So that means, so sometimes when it's new, you have to be creative. You have to go in a path that isn't as well lit as the other paths, and so you may not have those kinds of guidelines or those parameters that other people have set for you.
Right.
And so,
I don't know. When he said that, I thought about Floyd. Because Floyd said that when he's in the gym, Floyd Mayweather. He said when he's in the gym, he's fighting like he's poor.
Yeah.
He said when he practices and he spars and he trains, it's like he's poor.
Yeah.
That's how he trains. Like he needs to eat like he's starving.
And that's
how I took it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah.
That's dope.
I like it.
Now, you said that you've always been someone that's entrepreneurial.
I've always
had that kind of mindset.
Correct.
Okay, so this is a generation of entrepreneurs. I feel like everybody's like, oh, we got to be entrepreneurs, figure education. We don't need to go to school. We don't need a college degree. We just need to make money.
Oh, that's what people are saying?
Yes. If you go on Facebook and say, hey, I'm going to go back to school and get my grad degree, they're going to be like, why? For what? Right. Why do you want to do that? That's not going to get you a job. So with that kind of mindset, what do you say to people that are battling with getting an education, getting into debt behind it, and pursuing something like law, or even just wanting to become more educated?
Right. So that was kind of a twofold question, at least what I thought about. One was the first aspect. Well, let's say I'm a firm believer of education.
Okay.
And the main difference, or what I think about, is when you go to a formalized education, whether that's college, postgraduate, you have a curriculum, they're teaching you, you go and take a test. It's not for everybody, and that's fine, but are you disciplined enough to learn the knowledge outside of that? So most people I know, let's say if they don't have a conventional 9 to 5 or whatever it may be, but they're not constantly learning. When you're in class, you have to learn.
Yeah.
Right. So it's really comes down to your discipline. I don't think school is required for success. I think it's proven. There's a ton of people who didn't go to school. The knowledge is out there. We have Google, thank God, in 2017.
Yes.
Right.
Seriously. And you could research and formulate your own opinions and learn, whatever you want to know about anything, really. So
I really like that we have Amazon.
Oh, yeah.
You can just buy all these books and just become super smart. For me, it's Amazon, not Google.
Do people even go and buy books anymore?
Yes.
Oh, you should go for Chegg. Type in Chegg.
Chegg. Duly noted.
buy any book you want.
So you were gonna say?
Yeah, but I don't think they're at. You asked that question. A lot of people ask that question. I don't think they're at odds ends. It's either entrepreneur or formalized education in school. I think you could do both. And when you go to school, yes, you're learning about your trade or that particular subject, but I don't think that's the real reason you go to school. I think it's to leave the nest, to grow up outside of mommy and daddy, any older siblings you may have that helped out. They're at home, but more importantly, to gather resources around you to be successful in whatever you want to do.
See, and that's what people should tell people about school.
Yeah.
Because people think that you go to school and you go to college because you're looking for a job afterwards. Right. It's just not the reality. You're not always going to get a job right after school. You're not always going to get a job in the field that you studied. But what you said was you gather resources.
Yeah, to me, that's all school was for.
Right.
I love science, so other than that learning aspect of it, but it's to build that network. I mean, how cool would it to be to go to school and the CEO of Amazon is your friend?
Exactly.
They're going to be able to help you out depending on maybe what you want to do. The CEO of KFC, I don't know, whatever it may be. I'm a tech company, so it's the resources. It's not necessarily just the subject matter. Yeah, and then you're learning how to be an adult at 18. Exactly. A lot of us are young and dumb, right? So that's what I think you go to school for. I think people are looking at it too narrowly when they're just like, well, I'm not
gonna make money.
Yeah, whatever. Some of these excuses or justifications people make.
Man, I got a million questions for you, man. But so you mentioned something about Google, so this is kind of like a shout out to Ken. It's gonna make you think a little bit.
Get ready.
So
loosen up your tie.
Let me get comfortable.
So if you were to fall asleep for 100 years, right?
I don't know where this is going.
Fall asleep, okay.
You wake up 100 years later. What's the first thing you Google? Yeah.
Probably what year is it?
What year is it?
I think I would get on Instagram first.
What's poppin'? Who's posting?
I think most people would. They probably would deny that. But
forget Google.
Right.
100 years.
I don't know. Probably know what year it is.
You gotta figure out.
No, I'm unconscious and stuff throughout this whole time. I didn't know it was 100 years unless you're just telling me.
Okay.
I don't know.
But I just told you. I just told you. Yeah, it's 100 years now.
So he knows that.
Now.
They're like, it's 100 years now.
Yeah, you've been asleep for 100 years.
You're probably gonna run to the mirror. What do I look like? Can I walk?
I say black don't crack.
Okay.
I don't know. That's instinctive. They'll probably run to the mirror.
Yeah, for sure.
Like. Probably.
If you can.
If you can, huh?
Crawl to the mirror.
Right.
So, yeah, that's funny. I might have to come back to you for that one. Give you a couple seconds to think about it. So, but you spoke about learning, and when I went to school, it wasn't so much that they taught me what to learn, because they try to teach you what to learn, but the good professors teach you how to learn.
I feel like the good professors teach you how to think critically about things.
Yeah, that as well. So, like, that's what kind of tips would you say for thinking critically or learning in a good aspect?
I'm not an educator.
You're not an educator.
No. In a sense where I can't give tips on
learning.
How to learn.
No, how to learn. That's what professors and stuff do. But you hit a point, and I think that's exactly what they do. I'm not going to give their job or tell them what their job is, but yes, you learn how to think critically, problem solving, think rationally. Removing emotion when need be. I think you need a balance, but for most part in business, it's rational decisions, not based off emotions. I think I know law school in one teaches you that. They don't teach you how to be a lawyer. They teach you how to think like a lawyer. And everybody, so it's funny that you say that, because anybody who's ever went to law school or an attorney knows that, you know, you don't get out with the tools just to practice immediately. You kind of got to learn a lot of that stuff. But it's a lot of theoretical based stuff that you learn, and they teach you how to think like a lawyer, how to rationalize, how to analyze certain things. So, and I think school does that. So that's something else that's a benefit to school, even outside of the, you know, any other reasons why people think it's a waste of time. And I don't think a lot of people think it's a waste of time.
Oh no!
Man, I got chewed out on Facebook. I said something about school. Yes, people flew right on in. I was like, "Dang, okay, don't go to school then."
Oh yeah,
yeah.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
I think when people start thinking about school as a way to just become more educated, more people will go.
You think
what do I know though?
Is that the only thing? Do you think that?
I think that should be the main thing. Why else are you going to school to get a job? Like you can just go get a job. You can work at McDonald's, move up, and make a good amount of money.
No.
You can. The managers at like Taco Bell, they might pull in like 60.
No.
In-N-Out does very well.
See? In-N-Out does very well. But let me tell you, In-N-Out, to move up, you got to smash and cut about 10,000 potatoes every day.
The onions.
I seen this one guy. You know how they have the potato presser.
That's better than going into debt. Some people will say that's better than going into debt.
This guy's right arm was 3 inches bigger than his left because he was potato smashing crazy. I was like, man, them benefits better be nice.
It's silly.
Oh, I was.
Do you see yourself venturing off into a different type of law, like maybe a prosecutor? This is me pitching that maybe you should be a prosecutor.
maybe.
I just think we need more black prosecutors.
No? Wait.
I agree with that.
Prosecutor, you mean he did it kind of thing?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yes, absolutely. We need the reason why we need black prosecutors, and I'm pretty sure Jared agrees, is because they dictate what you're fighting against. So
I agree with you 2,000%.
It's like me and the judge. Well, let's say he's a prosecutor and I'm the judge, right? It's like we're deciding what your fate is. So yes, we need more black ones.
So
does that make sense? Because then instead of saying I'm going to give him first-degree murder, he can say, "Oh, let's give him second-degree."
Okay, let me tell you.
Depending on the law. Law.
Mr. Clark has Mr. Heavy Hands, so I don't know about that one.
Nah, that's not a role for me, but I got friends who I respect the prosecutors. It's a position that's needed, but I do understand what you're saying, and you know, people could differ based upon, you know, whether criminal justice reform is needed. I think to a large degree, a lot of people, the main consensus would say it probably is, and I think that would help move that way forward, probably.
For sure.
You know,
so working in law, how often are you seeing black faces? The higher up you go.
It diminishes.
It diminishes the higher up you go. Does that make you conform to more of like a white dominated cultural gestures, or
would you say use the word professional or
no? Does that make me conform?
Yeah. Do you find yourself conforming or watering down your black lingo?
Well, it's a profession that there's certain customs in the profession, and you know, you go before a judge, whatever it may be. So that's just how the profession.
Well, in a social aspect, let's say that it's a company party.
In a social aspect, no, I don't think that's been effective.
You still swag?
Still
swag?
Yeah. No, I don't think there's been any need or compelled to conform to anything. You know, I've always been myself, and it's always worked out.
Excellent.
You had a reference earlier. You said that the people up top are playing chess, and we're playing checkers. You were saying that you're not a political person.
Yeah, I'm not. I hate politics.
You hate politics.
I want to talk about politics.
Okay, cool. We're going to talk about politics. But you said you hate politics. Right. I don't know why. I think that black people need to get more in tune with politics so that we can help ourselves.
And let me correct. I'm very in tune with politics. I'm just not a fan of it.
Okay. But what do you mean by that?
So I don't like some of the games or whatever that they have to play to do it, but I'm very informed with who's where, you know, how it moves, how it works. But I follow it, but I don't really voice my opinions about it, at least publicly.
Is that because of your profession, or is it just a personal thing?
I think personal. Yeah. Even before this, you would never catch me on Facebook putting, "Hey, what's your opinions?" or "My opinion on this." It's just not me.
Okay.
But I watch a lot of that stuff. I'm up to know on, you know, a that stuff, but
just not your lane. So back to it.
Yes. Oh, you were saying, so what you was asking?
He mentioned earlier we were talking about politics in the workplace, all that stuff. He was saying that, when it comes to politics, the people higher up are playing chess and we're playing checkers. Now I wanted you to elaborate what you meant by that when you say us and them.
Right. So this is the age of information. The closer we are to the information, the better off we are. And that's no matter what, right? And I just think they're so close to the information that
they kind of control it.
And they almost started, huh?
Right. So so that's all I meant by that is, they are the information, right?
Right. Okay.
With degree. More information means more moves.
Right. So yeah, that's what I meant by that.
Okay. Because I was thinking of like socialism, like the wealthy have their own little socialism. We have our socialism within our groups.
Right.
But they're doing something totally different. We're just moving checkers around and they're actually making plays.
Correct.
All the way across the board.
So that's why it's like, whatever the politics, I mean.
Yeah.
Okay.
For sure.
I love politics.
So, so you deal with a lot of people that have a lot of different emotions. One of those emotions that they come across is fear. So how do you deal with people that are fearful, and how do you calm people down, so to speak? Or what would be one of those ways to get people to almost step outside of that fear for a moment?
I think I've seen you kind of preach on it in the past, Nyoka. It's just kind of getting back to the basics, but compassion and love. You know what I mean? Nice. I think we're so far removed, or a lot of people.
Say that again. Nyoka said what? What Nyoka said?
Compassion and love.
Okay.
Check me though. Has she said that?
No, of course.
Now just right.
People always try to make me out to be.
But yes, compassion, love, and to a large degree, we're counselors as well. Our attorney on my card, it says attorney and counselor. Nice. I think the attorney aspect is the advocating on behalf of the client zealously, but the counselor aspect is more that human emotion. Connecting with the client. They're in pain or suffering. Wondering if they're ever going to get compensated. If so, is it going to be full and whole compensation? So just become a counselor.
You said a word that a lot of people fear, and the fear of this word runs real deep. A lot of people like to run from it. Oh, you be running from it too.
What word is this, child?
Oh, what word is it? The word is pain. So why do
how do run from it?
Right, I'm like, what is this?
Why do people run from pain, and why do people fear pain?
I'm
so
a
much?
woman, okay?
It hurts.
We're used to it.
It hurts.
Yeah.
So
it hurts.
If I were to say, well, what about emotional pain? Let's just take physical pain out of the picture.
Emotional pain hurts.
Why do people fear it though?
Because I don't want to be in pain.
Right.
But okay, so if I were to tell you that the only way to grow is to be uncomfortable or feel some type of pain, would you say that kind of pain is still the kind of thing you want to run away from?
I would say that uncomfortable and pain is not the same.
How is not?
Bars. Because you can be uncomfortable and it's not hurting.
You didn't rhyme.
It's called a negative rhyme, okay? But the rhymes into that.
So you said it doesn't. You said pain
and uncomfortableness is not the same.
Are you sure?
Same in pain.
I
am sure.
Okay.
After a while, something that's uncomfortable can become painful.
Okay, so uncomfortability leads to pain.
Sometimes.
Sometimes
it leads to growth, like you were saying.
Well, that's because after the pain is healed, it leads to growth. You dig what I'm talking about, baby?
It's hilarious. But check this guy out. Well, I'm glad he's not practicing that.
So is it that people fear the results, or do they fear the process? What would you say is feared the most?
I think the process.
The process.
That's probably when you feel
it. For sure.
Yeah, because you got to go through the process before you get to the result. But,
and you have to put yourself out there.
And so you
take yourself seriously.
You got to experience the pain. Is what you're saying.
You have to feel uncomfortable.
Uncomfortable.
Stop trying to make me say pain.
Yeah, go ahead and let it go.
Throw it away, okay?
No, because we sticking to it. Because
we sticking to. You're like, oh, want to lay this right? Next hour, we talking about.
Well, this is the thing, though. You deal with a lot of people. pain. You helping them get over their uncomfortability, and so with that being said, that leads, and you actually help them towards a lot of growth. So next question I would have for you.
Yeah, next question, please.
Next question, please. So pain. If you were to, can you have do people have pain and anxiety? Like well, a lot of people get anxiety.
Yeah.
And so like
they do.
Yeah. So
smoke some weed.
Smoke some weed.
It's
Well,
legal now.
anxiety would be, I would say, a product of overactive thinking. So how do you get people to not think so much about the pain? And what do you get them to focus on?
Well, anxiety is an actual diagnosis. So you're asking me I said I wanted to go to med school. I never went to med school. It's like,
it is a diagnosis. But
I'm going to be a DO
I'm going to keep it real. I be thinking people be faking about that anxiety.
Anxiety? You never had an anxiety attack?
Never.
Have you had one?
Yeah, I think so. Since I've kind of been out on my own, you wake up sometimes in the middle of the night like
tripping, right?
Yeah.
But what?
That's just
is it that you're breathing too fast? Is your mind going racing?
Yeah, it's just the mind
you think
racing.
You're gonna die.
A compilation of thoughts. Yeah, but
it's never been
severe. But I've dealt with people, not just on a professional basis, that have anxiety, and it is real.
It's super real.
Yeah, it's real.
Man, I just have a hard time.
I hope you get one.
I hope you get one.
I hope you get an anxiety attack.
I don't wish that.
Who says that?
You'll be fine. It's just a hallucination. Just go outside, breathe a little bit.
Just breathe out.
If it's real bad, take a shower. No.
Oh man, see, that's how I know.
I have a question.
That's how I know it's not real.
Hopefully, I haven't.
This is the saucy one. You date white women, right?
I date all women.
See,
here we go. I knew she was coming.
Don't say all. I said white. Do you date non-blacks?
Yes.
Okay.
Why you had to pop the neck on?
Non-blacks, which I don't mind, whatever. But do you feel like you catch heat for that because you're black and educated? Like, do you think that a black man that was not educated would catch as much heat as an educated man when he dates a white woman or non-black?
I don't think so. Not necessarily. No. I think there's a perception with a large portion of society that, just the contrast between black and white in general, some people are frowned upon. But I don't think, status or, education has a whole lot to do with it. I'm saying it probably contributes a little bit, but.
There was like there was an article that came out by theroots.com, and they were saying that black men, educated professional black men, are the white men of the black culture.
That article sounds stupid.
It was crazy. It was crazy. I definitely didn't agree with it. I thought it was outrageous.
Right.
But it was kind of interesting to single out the professional black men. Right. Like they were attacking professional black men instead of just all black men in general.
Yeah.
So I was wondering if you experienced anything, but you probably wouldn't know because you are the professional.
You are the professional.
Can you send me this article, please?
Yeah, I'll send it to you. It's crazy. It's crazy, but they were saying that basically black men that are professional walk around with this authority over people like Caucasian men do.
I don't believe in that.
Why do black men date outside of their race, would you say?
I think just because it's 2017, it's became more socially accepted. And when things become trends and they become more socially accepted, if you're born in that time, that's what you know. So if I have a kid right now and they go outside and they get older and they see black and white folks come out, and that's normal to them, right? So they're going to be more comfortable with doing that as opposed to, we saw that 80 years ago, people scratching their heads, right? So it's the same thing. Even just not, it's kind of similar, but marijuana, right? It was frowned upon, in the 80s and 70s, they're locking people up. The power of the laws, deterrence. It was bad. You can't do it. This and that. If I have a kid and they get 30 in all 50 states, it's legal. His perception of that and what it was back then is completely different. We thought it was the worst thing in America. It's terrible. It's this, and now it's a good thing, right? To a certain extent, or CBD, the therapeutic, whatever. If you're using it, but it's. I find it fascinating how, depending on when you're born and what laws are in place at that time, you could get two different completely thoughts,
right?
And it's just about when you were born.
So you think it's a generation thing of why a lot of black men date?
I think
outside
it propels it, yeah. I think that's going to perpetuate it, and it's going to become more and more of a, hybrid pool and something. Yeah.
I know so many black women that look at black men that date outside their race, and they get uncomfortable.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I mean, they get angry, they get uncomfortable, and all of that. But I do remember a while back.
That pain.
You're so silly.
I'm trying to tell you.
Maybe they are hurt. Maybe they are hurt. For sure. And they probably have a good reason to feel that way.
Why?
Because it's a reflection of how people view black women. It's like black women are last. They come last. They're not up high with the other races. It's the world is anti-black, period. The world is anti-black.
That's the perception.
The world is anti-black. That's the truth. With black women falling into that. On music videos, they have become less black women. If you look in the 90s, there was way more black women on television in those music videos. So it is trendy, like you said, it's like a trend. So that's why I was asking. You're hilarious.
Interesting.
Why do you date white women twice?
Because they like me. Now I'm going to tell you the truth.
The sisters don't like you?
Man,
the sisters don't like you?
Not at all. I'll be like, oh, Nubian princess goddess. She said, I want this thug, this gangster to slap me around.
That's what they say they want?
That's what they got slapped 2 weeks later. so they can sit there and tell me.
They got slapped 2 weeks later.
You don't got to tell me what you like, baby. I know what you want.
So I have this little theory, and it's probably not mine. I thought of it. I didn't read it.
Is this the same article?
I didn't read it, but I just started watching like black men that date outside their race. And I was working at Topgolf, and I would see that a lot, like all the time. And one of my friends would be upset all the time, like, look at this. And I'm like, well, you know what? He's probably corny, and black women probably don't like him.
Yeah, I might be corny.
So it's probably like, oh, I wasn't trying to corny.
That might be. That's what you was trying to.
Do you experience that, Jared?
So black women don't like corny?
I mean, I don't like corny black. Like, you gotta be black. You gotta, yes.
And what is that? Is that like just identifying with the culture?
Yes, you have to be culturally black. So to me, you have to be cool. You got to be swaggy. You have to be pro-black. You have to be publicly pro-black.
Got to see the movie Juice, huh?
You got to drink Hennessy, smoke weed. No, I'm just I'm just joking. But you have to act black for me.
I know what you mean by that.
I mean, I have tried to date unconventional black men. That's the term I'm calling it.
And how'd that go for you? What? You weren't excited?
Didn't necessarily go.
It didn't go. It was at a home.
So what was he?
What you mean? He was black. He was black.
Oh, okay.
He was black. I've dated an Indian guy.
Oh, yeah?
Do you date Caucasian folks?
No.
Have you tried?
Why not?
I'll let them take me out to dinner.
So why you won't date him?
I don't. You know what? There's one white guy that I would date. I don't know how this interview became about me, but
I told you I was switching on.
I dated one guy, and he was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think coolness coming all flavors, colors,
all flavors,
nationalities.
I just don't like people that are racist. So I can't date people that are racist. I can't date people that act like racism doesn't exist.
Right.
So if we don't see the same way, then we don't have the same perception of things, then it probably won't work.
So how you feel about comfort zones? Being in them.
They're the bomb.
They're the bomb. Oh,
it's
yeah.
lit.
I like. I think I like being outside of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just because I think that's the natural byproduct of success is you have to be outside. You got to get used to being outside of the comfort zone. So in the comfortability zone.
Well, sometimes when you're outside of those comfort zones, sometimes things become overwhelming.
Mm-hmm.
How do you deal with overwhelmingness in your life?
Just don't make no excuses.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
No excuses. Yeah. No matter what it is. Get it done.
And that's how you get over being uncomfortable.
You sound like you're a solution-oriented individual.
I mean, as rudimentary as that sounds, just you got to get it done.
Rudimentary. See, I'm gonna need for you to stop speaking that higher echelon.
That's a bad word.
No, seriously, I think it's easy for us to always look for the, how not, why can't, say this needs to get done. Find a way to get it done. Period.
Okay.
There's a way to get it done. There's a way to get everything done, right?
Right.
Would you agree with that? So just
to get everything done.
Yeah, I would believe it.
I think that some people have more advantages to get things done.
Absolutely. But I think if they take that approach, that's true. Everybody, it's not a even playing field.
Right, for sure.
When we're born, some people have a head start. But if you take that mindset, we paused. What happened?
Poor connection.
Mo said facts.
Sprint.
This is not Sprint. This is MTN. It's your Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi.
Not ours. Greenspun.
But anyways.
You were saying that even the people that are disadvantaged could still find a way to get to what they need to.
Yeah, I just took no worries. Yeah, I just think that's the better mentality to take. Some will be disadvantaged, some won't. But if you take that mentality, the odds of you overcoming whatever's before you is tenfold.
Okay.
It's that Mamba mentality. It's that
Mamba.
No, seriously, he had it. By the way, did you guys see his retirement thing?
I did.
How cool was that?
Right? It was.
That didn't make y'all just want to go harder.
Didn't see it.
It made me.
He snitched on Shaq, so I'll still.
We talking about the good aspect a couple days ago.
Shaq was there.
Yeah.
See, look.
Hey,
I mean, Mamba is the GOAT. Come on now. I've seen his highlights.
That really. I almost tweeted about it. That really made me.
I started liking Kobe when he called the team soft. I was like, you know what? I mess with him now. It's like they all soft.
That did make me want to be better. Oh, you are hilarious. Why you gotta see? Can we just be?
What?
Can we just talk about the good stuff about the Yobi?
So you believe in positive psychology?
I do.
Positive reinforcement.
And other things that help me kind of reaffirm that truth is, you look at some people, right? And it might be one person, got the same 24 hours in a day we got that own 12, 14, 15 different successful businesses. And you ask, how so? Right? Is he not sleeping? Well, sleep is important for health. We got to sleep, right? So he obviously knows something that we don't, or we just haven't tapped into. And that just reinforces that there's a way to do everything. Just do it. Does that kind of make sense?
It does.
I mean, it does on the surface. On the surface, it makes sense, and it's good to think that way.
It's not going to be bumps in the road. Not to say that you're not going to fail, but it could be done. Period.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's harder for some people. That's a different subject. Is it harder or,
Right, for sure. That's why I said surface-based. Yeah. For sure. That's true. You should stay positive.
Yes.
So.
He got fans and stuff, y'all.
So, I got 2 viewers in my chat.
Got a question, man. So, speaking of fear, because, you deal with a lot of it. How do people get over fear?
Again, it's going to sound very basic, but just... It's more faith, and I don't mean religious-based faith.
That.
Yeah, but not necessarily religious-based faith. I'm not the most religious guy. I'm spiritual. But just knowing that everything in life, how we have wanted to turn out, at least for me, and I think it's the same for most people, it's turned out. Almost anything that you have wanted, it's probably safe to assume you got, right?
Everything that I've wanted?
Yeah. Is that
anything
that you wanted and you worked
7 things you wanted?
For sure. Anything that I worked towards, for sure.
Anything that you wanted, and in addition to wanted, that you worked
You want to know
towards.
something that's crazy about that? Even things that I never thought I could get, I've gotten.
And that's what I mean.
And that's because of my resources that I've made. Right. My mentors helped me get to where I am now.
Right.
That I never thought that I would.
Ever. In a million years, right? So it's just, knowing that fact to be true for your previous experiences, just apply that to your future, and it's going to be okay.
It's going to be okay.
Everything going to be all right.
You're going to be a good daddy one day.
You're going to be a good father.
He ready for some kids, y'all.
Stop.
So where we going in 2018? What we building? What's the new steps?
Nothing. I just launched this 4 months ago, so just focusing on Clark Law Group, taking care of my clients. I'm super excited to be doing this on this scale in the community that I'm from. I'm born and raised in Las Vegas, so it's kind of an extra touch for me to get to give back to Las Vegas on a more significant scale. So I'm excited.
We are
for what 2018 holds.
I get to brag about you. I get to say, my dog a real lawyer. You know what I'm saying?
That's hilarious.
You need to get it popping. Yeah, I be bragging about you. I'm proud.
Now that you've made it into this professional industry, do you feel any obligation to give back to the Black community or to do something that's rooted in the Black culture, specifically because you are Black?
I do, but not. I don't think you put the last qualifier on there. Not necessarily because I'm Black. I do think that's an aspect of it, but just they need it. I mean,
Right.
inner city, when I say they, I'm talking about inner city, those who don't have the proper resources that some other folks have. So how do we get them additional resources? I think we all owe that obligation.
Absolutely.
You know, regardless, I do believe in the, you know, the principle to whom much is given, or much to whom, how does it go? To whom much is given, much is earned. Anyways, y'all know what I mean.
I couldn't finish it for you. I was like, yeah, get there.
Yeah, I remember right when I got accepted into law school, the dean of my my school, Beth Kranzberger. Beth, if you're watching this, hello and thank you. But that was a philosophy that, you know, she stated and she lived by, and it's true. You know, we have a duty and obligation to give back, and I think even more so for those who come from the inner city and understand certain things that they're dealing with and going through to try to help out. So.
Do you have any ideas of what you're going to do, or are you still working on that?
I'm still working. I mean, I do some things. Pyramid Ron, a great musician. Yeah. He has a great company called Green the World that we do a lot of stuff with inner city kids. We go back to Doolittle and do certain things. There's some more things in 2018. Hopefully, I would like to start a scholarship contest that's kind of dedicated towards that. And that's actually, believe it or not, I kid you not, since 2000. I graduated 2010. That's always been a dream of mine.
Oh.
Yeah. So I'm kind of excited for that. So we'll see.
Good for you. That's dope.
I think there's a lot of things.
So if there's two things that you would want to be remembered for, what would they be?
Hopefully, you know, when I'm long and gone and people think of Clark, you know, my last name, that I was a good person and that I meant well. Again, I go back to love and compassion with everything, you know, so.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll be feeling like my job in life is to teach love.
Yeah.
Not romance.
Right. No,
so,
yeah, there's a difference.
if someone were to ask you to define love, what would you say?
You asking a whole lot of tough questions.
Yeah, how would you define that? He's a lawyer. Come on now.
To define love?
Yeah.
I don't know. When I think of love, and the term and definition that I'm thinking about when I use it is just to be authentic, genuine, and receptive to other people and their feelings. You know, if I just had to kind of think of
That's dope, man. That's dope.
No, seriously.
That was cute.
And that's not in the romance sense. And
no, not at all.
You know, but just when I say love and compassion, like when I think of love, that's what I think of.
And you could tell how people care about you or how they respect you by the way they treat your thoughts, ideas, and your feelings. So being receptive to them.
Say that again.
You could tell how someone respects you or how much they respect you by the way they treat your thoughts, ideas, and your opinions.
Yeah.
Right.
So when you're receptive, you know, to somebody's feelings, and so that is, you know, showing a form of admiration.
Twice might know something. Okay, kick that game tonight.
You know,
got it.
That's hilarious.
You know, I don't like to kick it too much because, you know, it might come back to me. You know,
that's hilarious. No, that's good.
So, if there was this is a question for you. You may not have heard it before. It's one of my favorite questions to ask, and it tells us a lot about you. And I'd like to know why you're choosing A or B. So, would you rather have an unlimited amount of money and no imagination, or an unlimited imagination and no one to share it with?
So a whole lot of money with no imagination, or an imagination but with nobody to share it with?
Yes.
And it's only A or B?
Yep.
What type of world are you
What kind of world is this?
I don't want to be a part of that world.
Them like the only people options? That's in jail and people that's really rich.
Them the options?
Those are the options.
I chose the money.
Yeah, and
I give you the check.
Yeah, and I think I would go with the money one too, and not because money moves anything, but I just sharing imagination and stuff. I just think it's required. I mean, that's what kind of keeps you alive, right?
Yeah.
Like for me to go and, you know, when I come back, I go out of town here soon, but to come back and share like a cool story about this other experience, like, and that's something that they imagine.
Yeah.
Right? Or if they've been somewhere that I haven't been and now I get to imagine, like, that's cool. You almost feel like you're there, and then you plan it and hopefully you could get there. But
no imagination
is cool. Yeah,
But you have no imagination, and you'll take an unlimited amount of money.
Yeah. When I got imagination, I can't share with nobody. I'm isolated.
To an extent. To an extent.
Sound like straight jacket, right?
But So I like to give a quote by my guy Hove. They call him the kids call him Jay-Z.
Oh my gosh.
And what he says is, I dumb down for my audience. So basically what I'm saying is, just because you have an unlimited amount, it doesn't mean you can't scale it down to be able to make what you feel and what you're thinking, what you envision, simple for your audience to understand.
That's not what you said, though.
That is exactly.
That's not what you said, child. It sounds like I'm gonna take the money and get on a private jet, go to Bali. Okay, I don't need to imagine anything. Okay, I could just use my eyes.
But somebody got to tell you to get on the jet, because or you've had to done it before already.
Or maybe I seen it on TV and I copied on my big LED plasma, whatever. I don't know, whatever Floyd flying.
Oh, okay.
That's my boy.
I rock with Bow Wow. I ain't disrespecting.
That's hilarious. You already shaded him.
No, he that's what he set himself up for that.
I actually didn't follow it that closely. But
yeah, I didn't either until you search it up,
right.
And then you see about 100,000 posts, and that's a million.
So let's get into something current. So LeVar Ball did you hear about what he's doing with his basketball team?
Yeah, the JBA or something, or Junior Basketball Association.
I think it's incredible.
Yeah, so basically he's paying he plans on playing
$10,000 max.
$10,000 max monthly.
With $3K minimum.
As an alternative to college. What's your opinion on that?
Sign me up.
I think it's cool for those who want to take that route.
Mm-hmm.
It gives them a chance, for them to be compensated for a skill set, something they put their blood, sweat, and tears in.
Mm-hmm.
And for those who college aren't for, that's a win-win.
Yeah.
College isn't for everybody.
For sure.
And I think that's fine. I think everybody knows that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
So that gives those folks an alternative route to maybe, make a living and still do what they love, carry their passion through.
Do you see it being successful?
I don't know, man. I don't know about that guy.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
I love LeVar Ball.
I think it's going to go crazy because his son just went to the league. His second son about to go to the league. They just signed up some contracts in Lithuania.
Oh wow!
Yeah, both of them are going to Lithuania to play together. The two youngest
sons.
Oh, instead of going to college.
Instead of going to college,
he took them out of college.
I wonder. See, and that's my only issue. Like, why don't you want your kids to be educated? Or maybe they're gonna go to school later. Like, what is
education? Education is not learned in the classroom. It should be taught by your teacher, and by your parents.
Hold on.
It should be taught by your parents. Because there's this one girl.
That's fine and dandy, but parents can't teach them.
They should, because let me tell you.
Well, they can't. Everybody cannot.
What you mean? We're in the information age. So how can you not teach somebody? How can you not teach yourself?
Do you trust your parents to give you an education?
I most definitely would.
Oh, okay.
Yes, indeed. And see, especially
no shade, but I'm not going to allow my parents to give me an education.
That is shady.
No, it's not shady. It's just the truth.
Well, it is?
Yeah, it's the truth, and they probably would agree.
Okay, well, let me give you this example. So, I was kicking it with a girl, and
I love how you free faces.
Kicking it with a girl.
And just make a long story short, we did a show about humility.
Mm-hmm.
So I asked her about because she's always said I was cocky. So I had to figure out what being humble was. So
so you was obviously cocky.
No, I wasn't.
Sounded like an admission of guilt to me.
So I asked her to define humility, and she had the nerve to tell me, "Does this have something to do with humor?" So obviously somebody in her life, and by the way, I learned what humility meant at the age of 7. So my parents taught me that. And so if she's at the age of 30 and no one taught her humility and she thought it meant humor, that has to go back. You can't even look at her. You have to look at her family and the people she hangs around. So
I think that my parents don't have the resources that this university has. So that's why I'm going to skip on to the school.
Oh, here goes another gem for you. All you got to do is go to your app store in your phone. They got Google Scholar. And it got
you got your degree.
Everything.
He has his degree, and he's sitting here and saying, "Don't go to school."
I wish I didn't.
Ooh, okay. So we're pro education.
I wish I didn't go to school. I'd be a millionaire, but I might be dead though.
Or in prison.
I think the latter.
Right, exactly. I think the latter. My kids are going to college, okay? They don't have a choice. I'm gonna make them.
So okay. So you're reaching a lot of success, man, and you're doing it very fast. How do you stay humble in the midst of your success? Speaking of humility,
I think that's kind of at your core. Yeah. It's almost like if you don't know how to manage money when you got $10, you won't know how to manage money when you got $1 million, right? And it's kind of the same, who you are at your core when you're wherever you're at in your early stages of your career or trying to get to your career. I think, it should remain the same when you get to wherever you're at or where you're trying to go. So, I'm humble. I like to think I'm humble, at least. But
knowing you personally, you seem more humble now than back in the day.
More humble now. Oh, okay.
The
success will do that to you too. Some extraordinary individual.
No. But the other thing is like, people have their own definitions for everything. Yeah. You know what I mean?
For sure.
I mean, we're generalizing, but confidence could easily be misconstrued as
arrogance
to a lot of people. And so it's just, I don't know.
I'm gonna go ahead and know how you live in your heart. I'm gonna give you the definition of humility, and you do practice this often. I watch you. So,
he watches you.
Yeah, for sure. I watch everybody.
Okay.
So humility is of showing one's a low self-importance in a situation. So often when you're in a situation and something good happens, you don't take all the credit. You tell everybody that this wasn't me. This person did this. This person did that. You give the credit to the individuals that took place in the movement, and that's exactly what a leader does. And I just wanted to let you know you do it well and you lead well, my friend. You lead well, and we appreciate that humility. For sure. And I'm trying to work on that humility. I don't believe that I'm too. I believe I'm humble.
I don't know your post. I know you.
Yeah, cocky.
No, but
cut up.
That's
cocky.
That's confidence.
That's
confidence.
Yeah.
So, and arrogance would be of having high self-importance in a situation. Right. So, like,
I was having a conversation with somebody about cocky versus arrogance, and I was saying that I would rather deal with a cocky individual than an arrogant individual. Because for me, somebody that's arrogant.
What's the difference?
To me, somebody that's arrogant is someone that is kind of like a know-it-all, and they have some kind of ignorance about them. That's how I view people that are arrogant. It's like they're hard-headed. But somebody that's cocky is just like, oh, yeah, I got that, or yeah, I can do that. Like it's just a personality trait. Whereas arrogance is like a mentality to me.
Oh yeah.
See, the way you just described cocky, I would have described that as confidence. At least with those two things you said. Oh, I got that. Or I know that. That was more confidence to me as opposed to cocky.
I think for me, cocky and confidence are very similar.
Right. No, they're not.
For me.
For me. He missed that part out.
Right.
He missed that part.
No, but we got to talk about you. Yeah. It's not. Oh, it's not.
Okay.
Cocky and confidence are not the same.
Once again, me and Jared agree that they're similar. Right?
They are not the same. He said they're not the same. He said, but that's neither here nor there. Well, actually, it is here, but we're gonna go back.
Okay.
So check this out.
Silly.
So, did you have any questions for us? Because we're gonna wrap it up here in a moment.
Yeah. Do you have any questions for us?
No questions. More probably commentary. I love y'all show. I watched several interviews, not all of them, but
that's what's up.
Y'all energy. It's not comparing it to the Breakfast Club, but it's the reason why they're successful and they do. It's organic. It's fun. It's vibe. It's a good vibe. You guys kind of, you guys duplicate that here in terms of the good energy, the vibes. Laughing usually from the moment you sit down. You got him talking about crazy stuff. You got Oak that's gonna don't know what she gonna ask.
Whatever.
Just know you gotta be ready. But no. So I appreciate y'all having me. I've known both of y'all for a long time.
Man,
so.
That's major love, man.
Keep it up.
That's major love. I got a couple more questions for you.
I was coming on.
Oh, did you have any questions?
Nope, I did want to say that whenever you're doing your give backs at Doolittle and stuff like that, a personal request would be to share that on social media, just so that people can see what you're doing and maybe it can motivate other people to do so.
Yeah, and I'm trying to get better with the social media stuff.
For sure.
So that's I do need to do that.
Because I would never know that you did something like that.
Yeah. I've never been one to put a whole lot of my. But I understand the importance of that, and just one whether it's to inspire and show people and have other people maybe come along and get back as well. So no, the benefits are undeniable.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so I'm working on it.
So with the expert in law in the building, we're gonna go ahead and ask you if you had to make 3 laws that the world had to follow, what would they be?
3 laws that the world have to follow.
Yep.
You have to be understanding of other views. You have to love everybody. And no waking up with bad attitudes.
So what happens when you wake up with a bad attitude?
You go to prison. 20 to life.
That's the law.
You go to prison.
They sending people to prison for an ounce of marijuana. You get sent to prison for that's contagious though.
That's
you probably
hilarious.
You ruined everybody's life you touched that day.
Oh,
the guy who had the marijuana,
20 to life.
20 to life. We have to go back to sleep, partner.
That's a hell of a deterrence. Would you wake up with a bad attitude if that was the law?
Never.
20 to life, child. No. Forget about radical.
That's not radical.
Yeah.
Is that a radical?
I said you can forget about radical. If I would go to prison, I have to wake up. Everything's great.
Hey, that's hilarious. That was a great one. Okay, you got any final thoughts today?
No, I gave him my request, and that's just it.
And I'll follow through on that. I will.
That's cool.
Yeah. Jared, I just wanted to commend you and compliment you, man. We see your works. You're starting new firms. You're treading new waters, going to places that a lot of your peers have not even been to, man. And you are one of those lighthouses that we look to, man. So continue to keep going forward. And we love the things that you're doing in the city for the city and to make people prosperous in their life. And you're adding so much value, man. It is incredible. And I please pray that you keep putting one foot in front of the other, because a lot of people are loving the steps that you're taking for sure.
Means the world to me, my man.
Greatly appreciate you, man. Did you have any final thoughts today?
I don't. You guys are phenomenal. I hope to come back one day.
Oh, that's major love. So
maybe we'll get more serious.
Yeah, we can always tap in. I'm an open book for the most part.
She want to hit the politics with you.
Yeah. Oh my God.
I'm an open book, so I'll be ready for you next time.
Okay, cool.
Hey, so my final thought today would have to go towards, I wouldn't say comfort zones, but an uncomfortable environment. And there's a couple situations or a couple symptoms of an uncomfortable environment that we need to be aware of. That's cynicism, skepticism, and paranoia. And so if you don't know what cynicism is, that's basically having your own intentions for a situation. So it's almost like selfishness, but in a higher scale. Yet, make sure you be aware of uncomfortable situations and try not to be a product of your environment, but make the environment your product. And those are the people that strive for greatness. And another thing I need for y'all to do is go check the greatness out at OverTheTopLv.com. Because if you're looking for the stars behind the bright lights in Las Vegas, you don't got to look no further. They got the actors, the painters, the poets, the artists, the musicians, the community leaders. Anybody that's doing anything in the city, we like to highlight them and let them know that they are greatness. Another thing I need for y'all to do is send in your music. What are y'all waiting for? Just send it in. We're trying to spin it over the air. 91.5, the HD2 station. All you got to do is edit it. Get it to me at TwiceTalkMedia@gmail.com. Put it in a WAV format file. I promise we're going to spin it. That's all you got to do. Easy work. And I know you already got it there anyway. And remember, if everybody in the world thought twice, it'll be a better place. Love, baby.